Imagine you're away at college, or for me, go back in time and try to remember when you're away at college. It's your first semester, and out of nowhere, you get hurt and you're in the hospital. Your father calls the bank because you need money to be moved to cover some urgent expenses. The bank tells him, sorry, we can't help you because you're not authorized.
Today, we're going to talk about a document that can change that. It's called the Statutory Durable Power of Attorney, and for this episode, we'll call it the Financial POA. If you are a parent of a teen who is about to turn 18, or if you're a young adult listening to this yourself, stay with us. This one is definitely worth your time. Hi, welcome to Thoughtful Planning. I'm Honey, a mom, an end-of-life doula, and a business owner.
And I'm Santiago, a father, a high school teacher, and a military veteran. We're on a mission to make the planning for the what ifs in life not so scary.
We have been walking through foundational planning documents since episode 56, and today we are continuing that series with one that focuses specifically on finances. Before we go any further, our usual reminder, we are not attorneys, doctors, or financial advisors. Everything we share is for educational purposes only.
And we're based in Texas. When we talk about specific forms, we're talking about the forms available in Texas. Laws vary state by state, and by the time you're listening to this episode, even the Texas laws may have changed. Please research your own state laws and talk with an estate planning attorney for legal guidance.
We'll share information about what this form is and what it does, but we cannot tell you what forms you or your family specifically need since every situation is different. We always recommend speaking with an estate planning attorney if your budget allows and if your situation is complicated. We also want you to keep in mind that even with a valid POA, banks and other institutions may have their own verification steps before they can act on it.
Great point. So, here's our essential question for today to help you focus while you're listening. What is a financial power of attorney? Why might a young adult here in Texas want one? And how do you actually complete it?
Keep that in mind as we walk through this together.
Honey, let's kind of start simple. What is a power of attorney?
So that's a great place to start. Think about it this way. Let's say you have a best friend you trust completely. A power of attorney is a legal document that says, hey, I give this person permission to handle certain things for me when I cannot do it myself or when I'm just not available.
What makes durable?
Well, there are several different types of powers of attorney, and we'll link to a great overview from Texas Law Help in our show notes that covers all of them. The one Texas makes available on their website, and the one we're focusing on today is a statutory durable power of attorney for financial matters. Again, we're going to call this a financial POA. Durable is important because it means the document can still work even if you later become unable to manage your own affairs.
So, like in the title, financial POA is specifically built for financial matters.
Exactly, not medical. We covered the medical POA in episodes 59 and 60. This one is all about money and financial decisions.
So now the term people will hear when they fill this out, the principal and the agent. Can you break those down a little bit?
Sure. The principal is the person who creates the document. That's the teen or the young adult. It's their document. They are the one giving permission. The agent is a person they trust to act on their behalf. That could be a parent, a sibling, anyone they trust. The form also allows you to name an alternate agent as a backup in case the first person cannot step in when needed.
One thing that the form also mentions is a co-agent. What's that?
Well, a co-agent is when you name two people to act at the same time. Here's something to keep in mind though. If two people have equal authority and they disagree, things can get complicated. The eFileTexas guided form will limit you to one agent and one alternate, which keeps things simpler for most people. If you want co-agents or multiple alternates, that is a great situation to ask an estate planning attorney about. And two quick requirements worth noting. You must be at least 18 years old and of sound mind to sign this document, and your agent also needs to be a competent adult. Refer to the form itself and the Texas Law Help article in our show notes for the full list of requirements.
Now, I know there's going to be some parents that might be listening that really wonder if this document is really necessary for their kids. And we get it. We're parents ourselves. When your adult child or teen child is young and healthy, it can feel like a lot and not something we really want to discuss. But let's talk about why this actually matters.
So here's the reality. The moment you turn 18, legally, you are an adult. That means your parents no longer have automatic access to your finances, even in an emergency.
So, what are some real situations you've heard about where this document would have helped?
So we'll walk through a few. So you're in college and you need someone to help file your taxes while you're dealing with finals or a health situation. Your agent can help with that. Or you need bills paid or accounts managed while you're recovering from something. Your agent can handle that. You have a side hustle or an online business and something unexpected happens. And we'll talk more about that when we get to the business operating power. And it's important to note that some colleges do have their own forms for releasing information to parents, so always check with your specific school first.
Here's something worth saying clearly. This document does not take any power from the young adult. They still make their own decisions. It simply gives the agent the ability to act when and if needed.
That is a really important point and worth repeating. You are not handing over control, you are adding a backup.
That's right. Now, let's talk about what the agent can actually do. On the eFileTexas guided form, you'll see a list of powers with a checkbox in front of each one. You can check the very first box, which selects all the powers below it, or you can go through, read every one, and check only the ones you want to allow. Walk us through the list, honey.
All right, so real estate transactions. This can include buying, selling, or managing property. If real estate is involved, the POA may need to be recorded in the county where the property is located, and title companies or lenders may have extra requirements. If real estate is on the table, consider getting legal guidance because it can get technical. We'll link to a Texas Law Help article on property deed basics in our show notes.
So, what about personal property?
That's tangible personal property. So think of things that you can touch and move, like a car, furniture, electronics. Your agent can handle transactions involving those.
What about stocks and bonds?
If you have investment accounts, your agent could manage those. Next is commodities and options, which is a more advanced type of investing. Most young adults won't need this one right away, but if it's there, this is relevant.
And banking is probably the biggest for most people.
Definitely. Banking and financial institution transactions covers things like handling your bank accounts, deposits, and payments. Very practical for everyday situations.
Right. What about those businesses and those side hustles, as you call them?
Business operating transactions. Well, a lot of young adults today have side hustles or run online businesses. And if that's you, this power would allow your agent to help keep things running if you're not able to.
How about insurance?
Insurance and annuity transactions. Your agent could manage your insurance policies or handle claims on your behalf. And as a separate but related topic, your HIPAA form is what can help someone access medical information, which we talked about in episode 61.
What's the estate and trust one about?
That can cover certain financial actions involving trust or estate interests. But a power of attorney is not the same as a will, and it does not let someone create or change your will.
Okay. So, talking about that, what about legal transactions?
This allows your agent to handle legal matters on your behalf, such as certain filings or actions related to legal proceedings.
And personal and family maintenance?
Well, this covers everyday living expenses. So think about rent, utilities, groceries. If you needed someone to keep your household going while you were unavailable, this is the power that helps with that.
Okay. And government benefits?
Government benefits can be tricky because different programs have different rules. A POA can possibly help with many benefit related tasks, but keep in mind that some programs might have their own form to be completed.
Yeah, I noticed there was also a retirement one.
So, if you have a 401k or any kind of retirement account, your agent could handle transactions related to those, depending on the rules of the account provider.
Okay. And our favorite topic, taxes.
Well, your agent may be able to help organize and file, but if someone needs to speak to the IRS on your behalf, the IRS often requires its own authorization forms, depending on what you need.
Sounds like everybody has their own forms. A lot of things that you're going to have to research. And what about the last block?
The last one is digital assets and electronic communications. This covers things like online accounts, digital files, cryptocurrency, and some electronic communications. As we live more of our lives online, this one is becoming more and more relevant.
Yeah, indeed. Um, Next on the form are special instructions about compensation and gifts. This section has additional instructions, and then the options to choose when the financial POA will go into effect. Then you'll see contact information for lawyers, a survey you can skip over or you can answer, and then it's time for you to review what you've got on your document.
Exactly. So we'll walk through each of those. First is compensation. Will your agent get paid for helping you? The default is that they can be paid a reasonable amount. You can choose yes or no. So keep in mind any payment comes from your own assets. So for most young adults naming a parent, compensation probably is not the expectation. If you want to add specific instructions, that is an area where it can be helpful to get legal guidance.
What about gifts?
So there's a special instruction about whether your agent can make gifts on your behalf, including larger gifts. This is typically relevant for people with significant assets who want to do planning through gifting. For most teens and young adults just starting out, this probably will not apply, but read through it and decide.
Can you add any personal instructions to the form?
You can. There's a space for additional instructions where you can limit the powers you're giving or add specifics. This section can get into territory where an attorney's guidance could really help. There's no requirement to fill it in, but if you want to limit or customize anything beyond what the checkboxes allow, that's where you would do it.
Okay. So, and then the form will ask you when it takes effect. And I guess that's probably the biggest decision you're going to have to make on this.
Yes, there's two options. Option one, it becomes effective the moment you sign it in front of a notary. Your agent can start acting right away if needed, and you are still in charge of your own decisions. This is why it's so important that you absolutely trust the person you're naming, because the moment you sign, they may be able to use the powers you granted.
And option two.
Option two only becomes effective if a doctor provides a written statement certifying that you are unable to manage your own financial affairs. That doctor's written finding is what triggers the document. Your agent would then present that letter alongside the financial POA when working with a bank or other institution. Typically, there is not a court step just to trigger it, but disputes or extra requirements can come up depending on the situation and the institution. Also, how third parties respond in practice can vary, and the article we'll share in the show notes on powers of attorney from Texas Law Help contains more information about working with third parties.
So, this choice, it's really important. So, I know you've heard some situations where this kind of document, when it's given to the wrong person, somebody that you thought you could trust but really can't, cause some problems.
Exactly. My planning teacher, she shared an example with us. She had given all of her kids financial POA access at the same time. She thought she was being prepared. Lucky for her, the bank called her to let her know that one of her daughters had taken $5,000 out of her account. And it turned out her daughter was struggling with a substance problem. And so my teacher quickly revoked the access.
Well, that's, I'm glad the bank called,
Hmm.
because if they didn't call, she would never caught that probably. well, maybe caught it too late. So that amplifies why this situation, this discussion on when it goes into effect, is a serious decision.
It is. The form itself says it plainly. You want to choose someone you trust with your life. Your agent is acting as you. In most cases, you are responsible for what they do in your name. So think carefully. Talk to the person you plan to name. Make sure they understand what they are agreeing to. The form actually includes a section specifically for the agent that spells out their duties and legal obligations. They need to keep records, act in your best interest, and stay within the powers you give them. If they go outside those boundaries, they can be held legally responsible.
So let's talk about how we can actually do this. Where should people go?
Texas makes this available in two ways. You can download a PDF directly from the Texas Human Health Services website under Advanced Directives, or you can use the eFileTexas self-help site. And that site will walk you through a guided interview and generate the form for you. Both links will be in our show notes, and if you need a walkthrough of the initial login and account setup, go back to episode 58 for those steps.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty easy way to do it. So once you're in the system, what happens?
You'll enter your name and address, then your agent's name, address, and phone number, then your alternate agent's information. Then you go through the powers list we just covered using the checkboxes, work through the special instructions and effective date choice, and then the form is generated. You'll review it carefully, check for spelling errors, make any corrections, make sure all your answers look right, and then you'll print it out.
I think that is a pretty good option for those of us that don't have, nice handwriting. Once it's printed out, I guess we're going to have to go sign it in front of a notary.
Yes, you must sign and initial the form in front of a notary public. You'll look for the double arrows on the printed form. So when you print it, you'll see for all the ones that you are authorizing them to have access, it'll have two double arrows, okay? And then it'll mark out all the ones you are not giving them access to.
That's nice.
Yes. So when you are in front of the notary, you'll sign an initial. Then my planning teacher recommends having 2 additional copies notarized as well. Once that is done, give a copy to your named agent. And here's something important about financial institutions like your bank. Some banks have their own internal process or form and may ask for additional steps before they will honor a POA. So reach out to your bank and ask what they need to keep on file and what their process is.
I know that's a great tip. When we were doing some of our stuff, we bank at multiple institutions, and each one had his own way of doing things. So while you're talking to your bank, here's another tip worth knowing.
Yes, you'll want to ask them about adding a POD, which stands for Payable on Death, to your account. So in many cases, a POD designation can help an account pass directly to the person you name without going through probate. But it is always smart to confirm how your specific account is titled and how your bank handles it. At my own bank, I was able to add it simply by asking directly during a regular visit. And at another institution, I did it over the phone and was even able to name contingents with a percentage split. It was simpler than I expected, and it's worth asking about while you're already there.
Yeah, and something else that's important, make sure you've documented who has the copies of the financial POA. That way, if you ever update the document, you know exactly who needs to receive the new version. Now, we know some of you might be thinking, this sounds like a lot of trust to give to one person. What if things change?
That's a fair and important question. And here's the good news. You can revoke this document at any time as long as you are of sound mind. If your relationship ever changes, or if a person oversteps, or if they break your trust, you have the right to end that authority. We will be covering exactly how to do that in our next episode. So let's come back to our central question. What is a financial POA? Why might a young adult in Texas want one? And how do you actually complete it?
We went over the financial POA, or statutory durable power of attorney, is a legal document that gives someone you trust to handle your financial matters on your behalf. It's durable, meaning that can still be effective even if you become unable to manage your own affairs. As a young adult, it's a tool that can help you keep life moving if you cannot be reached or if something unexpected happens to you.
And Texas provides the form for free through their Health and Human Services website and through the eFileTexas guided interview. You choose your agent carefully, select only the powers that make sense for your situation, sign an initial in front of a notary, and make sure you've documented who has copies.
So, if you found this information helpful, hit that subscribe button on YouTube and follow us on your favorite platform. We're on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, and Amazon Music.
And if you have questions, you can reach out to us at info@legacytoolkit.com.
As we said before, it's all about the money, honey.
And about protecting it wisely. Remember, every chapter you write today shapes your legacy tomorrow. Thank you for joining us at Thoughtful Planning.